What is going on YouTube? I am Lamont at large. Today we are in Kansas City, Missouri. We are going to the last known location where 34-year-old Wilma Frances Allen was last seen alive. She had went to this salon down the street from where I'm at right now almost 70 years ago to get dolled up for her husband because they were going out on the night on the town. Little did Wilma know that a sex slayer was lurking in this area with a .38 caliber revolver tucked in his waistband. He was looking for the perfect victim, and he found it. We're gonna go back to August 4th, 1955. 34-year-old Wilma Frances Allen is driving her brand new blue and white Chevrolet down Meyer Boulevard, and she hangs a left onto Brookside Plaza, which is right here. She continues down this street because she's gonna go to a salon at 6813 Brookside Plaza. She's gonna get herself dolled up because her and her husband William, they're gonna go out for dinner tonight. Maybe they hired a babysitter for their two sons, have some adult time alone, get away from the kids for a while. And Wilma, good looking lady, definitely a head turner, and her husband, pretty successful guy, has a dealership, Bill Allen Chevrolet, if anybody remembers back in those days. So she drives down to the salon over here and she gets done whatever it is that she's getting done. Little did this woman know that as she was in the salon getting her hair done, that there was a drifter in the area that was looking for a perfect victim, and he would find that perfect victim in Wilma. This loser's name was Arthur Ross Brown, and if you do even a rudimentary search of his history growing up as a child in California, this guy was Looney Tunes. He was off his rocker. Some of his high school counselors had said that he had really severe mental problems. I don't know if you can blame it on his upbringing or whatever, that I'm not aware of, but this guy definitely had about 17 screws loose. Doing nothing but robbing, taking from people that doesn't belong to him. This guy would eventually meet a woman here in the Kansas City area and have a child. But the one thing that this guy could not escape in his sex-depraved mind was robbing and taking. This guy had a weird fetish with women's lingerie. It was almost a neurosis, if you will. Definitely a creep with a diseased brain. A creep with a diseased brain coming down to the street looking for somebody to rob, as he said later on in court. Now right now we're looking for 6313 Brookside Plaza. Now oftentimes addresses change, buildings get knocked down and rebuilt, so you might lose an address here or there. That's 6315, that's an insurance agent. This is 6314. So I'm imagining that this price chopper right here more than likely was not here at that time, and the salon would have sat right about where that sign is. So one depraved lunatic, Arthur Ross Brown, sees Wilma and he notices that, first of all, she's attractive. Number two, she's wearing what he determines to be fancy jewelry. And she's got a brand new car. Perfect victim. So this guy just walks up to her, and as she's parked right outside, he goes to the passenger window, pulls out his .38 caliber special, points it right at her, and says, "Don't make a sound. Just be a good person. Don't do anything stupid." Now she probably wants to scream right now, And in hindsight, that probably would have saved her life. But for some unknown reason, maybe she believes that this guy's just a drug addict and he just wants to take whatever money she has. He gets in the car, points the gun at her, and says, "Start driving." Oftentimes when we read stories like this, we always play, what would I do? What would you do? Well, I would have done this because I'm Superwoman, I'm Superman. But it's very hard to actually put yourselves in the shoes of the victim. She's probably thinking, he just wants whatever, my jewelry, my purse, or whatever, and he'll leave me alone. So as they're driving, he's thinking about, what am I gonna do? He asked her, hey, how much money do you have in your purse? She says, all I have is $50. Now, back in those days, $50, that would have been a okay robbery for a 2-bit thug loser like that idiot. But he is looking at her jewelry. She has a couple diamond rings, one of them her wedding ring. She has a nice wristwatch on. She's got a brand new car, so maybe he's thinking, maybe how much money does she have in her bank account? Who knows what he's thinking? So they start driving towards the border between Missouri and Kansas. Now he doesn't know what he's gonna do. Now this guy ain't new to robbing people, but this is now officially a kidnapping. So they're having a conversation, one that nobody really knows what took place in that conversation. But she starts saying, listen, I got 2 sons and please don't do this. I'll give you whatever you want. She starts talking about her husband. She's probably trying to tell him anything that would calm him down to just let her go. But this disgusting bastard had absolutely no intention of letting her go, because there was something that he wanted from her, and it was her. Later on that evening, when Wilma failed to show up home, William got really worried and had called the police to report his wife missing. Now, as he did that, he also had some of his employees that worked for him at that dealership drive their vehicles in and around the area looking for her car. Now, nobody found anything until the following day on August 5th. Somewhere in this general area near Broadway and 21st. Now, Broadway would be like about a block over there, and 21st Street would be maybe about 2 blocks that way, right next to some train tracks. So as you see right there, there's a train going by. So it's somewhere right in this vicinity, her car was found, and it was a rather grim discovery. When police looked through the vehicle, they seen that the back seat and the floorboard was absolutely covered in blood. It looked like somebody took a cup of blood and just kind of threw it into the car. There was blood on the sides of the vehicle. The clothing that Wilma wore that day when she left home was in the car, also covered in blood. Now, police feel at this time now that instead of them having a missing persons report, now this is looking more like this is possibly going to be some kind of a homicide. And it would be about another 2 days until on August 7th, when Wilma's body was found. It was found about 15 or 20 miles away from here off of US 69 in Johnson County. And it was a very horrible scene. On August 7th, 1955, a farmer and his son are walking around their property in the outskirts of their property over in Johnson County off of US Highway 69 and Tibbetts Road. I couldn't find Tibbetts Road. I tried to find the location, but maybe they just changed the name of the streets. I know that the location of where her body was found, it was kept very, very hush-hush. So I believe that maybe Tibbetts Road and the newspaper where it was written, where they found her, was fictitious at best. So the farmer and the son, they're looking for a wayward cow that they have that just kind of wandered off of their farmland. They see a couple of trees, maybe about 75, 80 yards away, and they see something in between those trees, but they're not really sure what it is. And so as they get closer, they quickly realize it's the body of a nude woman, and they hightail it out of there. They go to a neighbor's home, and they tell him to call the police, get the police out here right away. There's a dead woman over yonder. And when the police arrived, they pretty much knew who it was, but they wanted to make sure. So they had contacted William and asked him if she had any kind of like scars or anything like that. And he says, yes, she has a rather long scar, like it's about 10 inches on her thigh. And that is how they identified Wilma. So this story, you got a bunch of police officers in Kansas City looking for a rapist, murdering sex fiend. Now, this story was all over the newspapers, and DNA doesn't exist. This story, this murder would go unsolved, but not for too long, for about 3 months. And then you fast forward to November 14th, 1955. So Arthur Ross Brown, he is going around the country just robbing people, robbing whatever. I don't know if he has a drug problem or what, but he's just going around committing all kinds of crimes. He makes his way to Sheridan, Wyoming, and it looks like he has a run-in with a deputy out there. And maybe he tried to pull him over, whatever, and Arthur shoots him several times. Now, luckily, the deputy survived. Now the FBI is after this guy because now he's stealing cars and he's crossing state lines. So when you cross state lines, it becomes the Federal Bureau of Investigation's case. They tracked him down back to California. So he's in the San Francisco area, probably hiding with his family. And eventually they corner him over there in some kind of boarding house or whatever. And they're questioning him about the sheriff's shooting over in Wyoming and all of the stolen cars and all of the robberies he's committed. When all of a sudden he just blurts out, oh, hey, I'm wanted in Kansas City. I did something really bad. What do you mean? I committed a murder. They had no idea this guy was linked to the murder of Wilma Allen. They extradite him from California out here. He comes here 2 days later. He meets with detectives to go over the crime. He explains to them what he did, how he killed her, how he shot her twice, how he shot her when he was in the car, and then he drug her out and shot her again. He tells them that he also stole a couple of rings and a wristwatch off of her, but he hides the jewelry. He dug a hole and hid it somewhere. He took them to where the jewelry was, and they found it right where he said it was. Later on, quickly, he was charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, rape. His trial went on pretty quickly. He was later found guilty, and he was executed, I believe, in 1957 in Missouri's gas chamber for this woman's murder right here. This is the final resting place of Wilma Allen. And her husband is at her feet. He died when he was 86 years old. He lived over 50 years as a widow. And this is his sister next to him. And his parents above him right there. It's very sad when you think about a family and a brutal crime that has happened, and it tears the fabric of a family apart. And violent crimes like this, you know, these people, they take it to the grave. This horrible thing that happened to their loved one, to their daughter-in-law, to their wife. All this because a sexual deviant couldn't keep his hands to himself. Rest in peace to the Allen family. Wilma was from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I thought she would have been buried there with her family, but here she lies. Okay, guys, wrapping it up. On to the next story. The wheels never stop turning for too long. Everybody has a story, good or bad, and I am just but one of a few people out there telling it like it is, telling their story. I hope to see you on the next video. Be good, y'all. Peace out.